Welcome back to the channel. Johnny, Pilot the Garage. I need to get new shirts. But anyways, we're working on this 2003 Mustang. It has a SN95 motor and transmission. It has the Ford AODE, so Automatic Overdrive Electronic is what the E stands for. So the entire transmission is shifted electronically. So he brought the car in and he took it to another garage and they screwed a bunch of things up. I don't want to bash another garage, I won't even say who it was. But had to fix the distributor. It was almost a quarter turn out of time. So I fixed it, put it back in time. They put new plugs, new wires, and new coil on it. The plug wires, they didn't put the heat boots on it. So, well, not on all of them. So two of them actually burned a hole in the back of the brand new spark plugs, which then arced on the exhaust, which is causing ignition problems. Timing out, fixed that. The radiator needed a flush, so I drained the fluid, flushed it with water 5 or 6 times, put fluid back in it. So that's good. New idler pulleys, new tensioner pulley, new belt. That's what I did engine wise. Got it up and running. So we want to go down the road. We want to build more horsepower and stuff. So we bought a Mega Sport plug and play ECU. Got that installed. Yep, fires up, runs great. Innovative Motorsports air fuel gauge. He brought me a aftermarket gauge pod holder that goes into the center vents. Got all that wired in. That was a headache. If you guys ever work on one of these, let me know, because I will tell you how to do it, because you'll fight it. It takes like an hour just to get the dash part to even run wires. But so got it in, got it wired up, got my relays, fuses all hooked up, so it's working the way it's supposed to. Had an exhaust leak, so I had to drop the exhaust, fix it. I dropped the when I had the exhaust off, I welded the bung into the exhaust for the O2 sensor. Got it all wired in. It's all good. The hiccup come into the transmission. So once you swap out the ECU for the aftermarket one, the aftermarket ECU does not control the transmission. So the Mega Sport ECU plug and play is meant for a manual transmission or an automatic transmission with a manual valve body, which would be the old Mustangs. So in order for you to control the transmission shifts, you had to buy either a micro squirt, which is a small programmable thing, which is how we went. We went with the micro squirt. You can flash firmware onto the micro squirt for the transmission stuff. Then you have to wire it into all the solenoids and TCC lockups and all that stuff. It's a big wiring mess. The car's been here for a couple months because we've been fighting with that. Got it working today, which I can do a video later on that with the settings and all that, which I need to do anyways because I was unable to find any type of information on it. And I actually found one guy on the internet that was willing to at least help me and talk to me. Don't get me wrong, DIY, which creates Mega Squirt and Mega Squirt, very helpful. I would send them information, they would send me back stuff to try. They're wonderful as far as their tech support goes. But as far as the internet goes, as far as information scouring the internet, there's one guy. And of course, I was having a hiccup that was my fault, and he really couldn't help me because he wasn't here, so he couldn't see what was going on. But it ironed it out, worked. Shifts now, shifts the way it's supposed to. So this video, I am going to be replacing the rear diff fluid in this thing. So it's been, like I said, it's been sitting in my garage for 2 months now because we've been working on it. When it's been sitting here, it's been sitting in one spot on my nice clean floor. And I realized there were spots of black on my floor in the back of the car that they're not part of my floor. So after I looked for a while, I found out that the rear diff cover was leaking, and it is, when I say it's black, it's like, it's almost like tar, like to pick it up and touch it, so it scares me. So this video, I already had the car jacked up, so I'm going to get the camera set up over here, and I'm going to get all the bolts out but one, and then, or two, and then I'll turn the video back on, and then I'll pop the cover and let the fluid come out so you guys can see it. And then I'll show you the real quick process of what I do. I take a wire wheel and I clean up both surfaces. I take brake cleaner, and I blow out all the junk that's in the rear end. Then once all that's cleaned out, I'll take a little bit of air and dry up the brake clean that's in there. Put black silicone on the cover, put the cover back on, bolt it on. I usually give it 10-15 minutes to do a little bit of a setup. And then once that's done, I'll clean the mess up, put fluid in it, which I'll get the specs off of the Ford site for how much goes back in it. There's also an easier way to do it. There's two plugs on the transmission. There's a top one and a bottom one. So you're supposed to pull the bottom one out to drain the fluid, which I'm pulling the cover off. So what you do is you pull the top one off. You pull the top one out and you fill it full of fluid. And then once it comes up and comes out, you'll know. I'll show you when I get underneath there. But stay tuned, and I'll get you guys set up here in a couple minutes and be ready to roll. Alright, so I got all the bolts out, the two here. I can smell it is nasty. So slide this back like this. Let you guys see what we're going to see here. Break the seal. Yeah, that is gross. See, it almost looks like motor oil. Gear oil's not supposed to look like that. It's usually like a off brownish green color. And it stinks. What concerns me is that's a little shimmery, but I'll find out when I get this cover off how bad it is. I'm going to sit you guys down so I don't get this camera covered in gear oil, but I'll be right back when I get the cover off here. Alright, get the cover off. Planetary gear, axles and stuff in there. I don't see any like damage or any big pieces of metal yet. Everything seems to be fine. The cover, it's a little dirty. I'll clean it up. This has been off before, and whoever put it back together put very minimal silicone back on it, which is fine, but there wasn't enough to really make a good seal. So I'm gonna give me a couple cans of brake clean here, clean all this out, get it prepped, and then I'll show you guys whenever it's cleaned back up. Okay, so use the wire brush, got all the exhaust off this, and took the brake clean, cleaned it all out, wiped it all off, ready to go. Brand new tube of black. Black is used for oil. So I'll put a 1/8 inch so or 3/16 bead across this. And usually when I do mine, I go from hole. When I get to the hole, I do a circle like this and come up, do it, the whole way around this, and then I'll slowly take us back, carefully put it up in. That way it gives it a minute or so to set up a little bit and make it kind of like a seal. I mean, it's not going to be perfect, but it'll keep the oil in. I'll put this back on, I'll bolt it on tight. I got to figure out what the specs are off of the AllData website. And then once I do that, I'll put it back in, bolt it up, and then I'll take the plug out of the front, put the oil in it, whatever the fluid is supposed to be in it, then be done. Alright, sorry I didn't get the last little bit of the diff there. So you saw where I cleaned it up. I put I put silicone, black silicone around it. I crawled back under there. I put it up and bolted it back on. I did every other bolt until it was tight. I left it dry 5-10ish minutes, and then If you're looking at the back of the rear diff from the rear end of the car, the driver's side front, just above where the halfway point is, there is a plug that you use a 3/8 ratchet and a 3/8 extension. It's a square. It's a perfect 3/8 size. So you put it in there, you break it loose, and then I have a siphon pump. It's like a red pump with 2 hoses on either end that you can pump it, and you pump fluid from the gear oil bottle up into the rear end. They're like $6-7 True Value or Ace or wherever. It'll save you in the long run, because trying to put gear oil and trying to get it up and in that hole just doesn't work. So it calls for 1.85. I put roughly 1.8, 1.9 in it because the siphon doesn't get on the bottom of it. I put it in, put the plug back in, tightened it up, sprayed everything down with brake cleaner, cleaned everything up. And then while I was under there, the exhaust, somebody put an aftermarket exhaust, and where it goes up over the axle, where it goes up over at the top, it was actually touching the frame. So when you started the car up, it rattled and it was driving me nuts. So I loosened the exhaust, or the pipe, and I twisted it, tightened it back down, so there's like a 3/16 gap now. I did it on both sides because they're both rattling. So yeah, that's it. I'm gonna call it a night. Monday morning I'll come back, or Monday evening when I have to work, I'll come up. I'm going to jack the car up, take off all 4 wheels, check the brakes, check tie rod ends, check all the stuff for inspection. Go through, check the lights, the horn, just all the kit and caboodles. Make sure it all works for inspection. I have to go run it out and get inspected. Well, I have to make an appointment, then go get inspected. The only thing that scares me with this car is the fan. It has like a relay box, and it's really corroded, so I need to fire the car up, get it up to operating temperature, and then see if the fans kick on. Because the car gets warm. In my opinion, it gets warm, but I don't know if it's because it has the headers on it, it just gets hot in the engine bay, or if it's because the fan isn't kicking on and it's just hot in general. But that'll be on Monday. I can video that Monday. I'll do a couple-minute video where I'll take the wheels off, and I can show you what to do with the brakes, and how thickness, and for inspection and everything. I can show all that Monday, but I'm tired. I've been up here for 8 hours. I'm pretty well, I'm pooped. But thank you for watching, and I hope you learned this much, if anything. Down the road, I'll be doing videos on the MicroSport transmission controller, the wiring and all that stuff. Show you what color goes where, what to do, and how to do it. So if somebody wants to replicate it, they can. That, and just get the documentation out there. So thank you for watching. Until the next video. Peace!